Welcome to latest News Blaster. After decades of commanding the big screen with his steely gaze and unforgettable performances, Clint Eastwood, the man who defined American cinema for generations, has finally decided to walk away from Hollywood, leaving fans, stars, and even critics speechless. The announcement came quietly, without any press conference or red carpet farewell, but the ripple effect it caused was louder than any blockbuster he ever made. Eastwood, now in his 90s, reflected on his journey with a calm dignity that only he could carry, speaking with the same measured tone that once silenced villains and inspired millions. "I've said what I needed to say," he reportedly told a close friend during a private conversation, words that many believe mark the end of an era. For over 70 years, Clint Eastwood stood as the symbol of grit, resilience, and silent strength, from his early spaghetti western days in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, to the hard-boiled cop in Dirty Harry and the heart-piercing storyteller behind $1 Million Baby and Gran Torino. His career was more than just films, it was a mirror of American toughness and vulnerability, a balance very few artists could maintain. As news spread that he's stepping away for good, Hollywood insiders shared emotional tributes, with actors like Tom Hanks and Morgan Freeman recalling how Eastwood's discipline and quiet wisdom changed the way they saw their craft. Behind the camera, Eastwood was known as a minimalist director, no unnecessary retakes, no endless chatter, just raw truth captured in every frame. It's that truth that made him timeless. But now, as he looks back at a life filled with stories, Clint reportedly confessed that fame and fortune were never his goals. "I just wanted to tell the truth, and sometimes, truth isn't pretty," he once said in an interview that's resurfacing across social media. Fans from all over the world have flooded comment sections with emotional messages, calling him a living legend, the last cowboy of cinema, and the man who taught Hollywood what silence means. Sources close to the actor reveal that his final words about leaving Hollywood weren't about regret, but gratitude, a soft thank you to the audiences who grew up watching his transformation from the mysterious gunslinger to the wise, reflective filmmaker. Rumors have swirled about health concerns, but insiders claim Eastwood simply wants peace, away from the flashing cameras and endless scripts, spending his remaining years near Carmel, California, where he once served as mayor and still finds comfort in the ocean breeze. Those who know him best say he spends mornings walking along the shore, often smiling quietly to himself, as if replaying his life's scenes in his mind, one frame at a time. Even now, studios keep sending him offers, desperate for one last film. But the man who once turned down fame for authenticity seems unmoved. "When you've said enough," he told a journalist years ago, "you learn to let silence do the talking." And that silence is now echoing across Hollywood. Directors who grew up idolizing him, like Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino, have called Eastwood's exit the end of a golden generation. His influence runs deep, not just in the way movies are made, but in the way men carry themselves on screen, stoic yet soulful. While the younger generation might know him as the man behind American Sniper or The Mule, his true legacy lies in the emotional honesty of his characters. Flawed, proud, sometimes broken, but always real. Film critics are calling this the most graceful goodbye Hollywood has ever seen, one that carries no drama, only peace. Yet, despite his silence, one final quote from him has everyone talking. During a recent quiet dinner with friends, Eastwood was asked what he wanted to be remembered for. He smiled, looked at the table for a long moment, then said, "For never pretending to be more than I am." That line alone has been shared millions of times online, becoming a symbol of humility in an industry often built on ego. It's easy to forget that behind the legend was a man who once struggled, who took small TV roles before Sergio Leone discovered his potential, who directed because he wanted to control the story rather than be controlled by it. Those close to him say his decision to step away wasn't sudden. He'd been hinting for years that Cry Macho might be his last, but no one believed it until now. And as the lights dim on a career that spanned 7 decades, Hollywood feels a void no newcomer can fill. His legacy isn't just his awards or box office records, it's the honesty of his work, the humanity of his characters, and the quiet courage he showed in staying true to himself. Fans around the world continue to post old clips, interviews, and movie scenes, each one a reminder of what made Clint Eastwood so unforgettable. Many say his departure feels like losing the last piece of the real Hollywood, the one built on raw talent, not algorithms or marketing. Even as tributes pour in, Eastwood himself remains calm, almost amused by the world's reaction. "People make too much of goodbye," he once joked. "Every ending is just the start of something else." Maybe that's the message he leaves behind, that real strength isn't in holding on, but in knowing when to let go. His quiet exit has made even the toughest hearts tear up, proving that Clint Eastwood didn't just act in stories, he lived them. And now, as the sun sets over the California horizon he loves so much, the man who defined silence walks away one last time, leaving behind not just a fortune in wealth, but a fortune in memories, in art, and in lessons that Hollywood will never forget. But even as Clint Eastwood steps away from Hollywood, the world refuses to let him fade quietly into the sunset. His presence still lingers everywhere. In film schools, on late-night talk shows, and in the hearts of fans who grew up quoting his lines and mimicking his signature stare. Every generation has its heroes, but Eastwood transcended time, shaping the way masculinity, morality, and redemption were portrayed on screen. When people think of Clint, they don't just remember a man with a cowboy hat and a revolver, they remember a man who stood for something deeper, a man who believed in honor, silence, and strength that doesn't need to shout. Hollywood, which often forgets its own legends, seems unable to move on from his departure. Just last week, a major studio announced a retrospective titled Eastwood Forever, featuring all his iconic films restored in 4K, giving younger audiences a chance to see what real storytelling looks like. The announcement sparked tears and nostalgia among fans, many of whom see him as the last surviving symbol of real Hollywood, an era of raw performances and honest direction, unfiltered by CGI or marketing gimmicks. Industry insiders say that even after his retirement, producers keep reaching out, offering him final cameos, lifetime achievement awards, or documentary projects. But true to his nature, Eastwood politely declines, choosing solitude over spotlight. A close friend told reporters, "Clint doesn't need applause anymore, he's said everything through his films." And that's the truth. Every movie he made feels like a chapter of his own diary, revealing a man both haunted and hopeful. From Unforgiven, where he explored guilt and redemption, to Mystic River and $1 Million Baby, which dissected pain, morality, and humanity. Eastwood never shied away from the darker corners of the soul. He made movies not to entertain but to reveal something about the human condition. That's what made his art so powerful. It wasn't about good guys or bad guys, it was about choices, consequences, and courage. Even now, many actors openly admit that they owe their careers to his mentorship. Bradley Cooper once shared that working with Eastwood changed his entire approach to acting, teaching him that truth is always louder than performance. Hilary Swank credits her Oscar-winning role in $1 Million Baby to Eastwood's belief in her. "He didn't just direct me," she said, "he trusted me." That quiet trust, that unwavering confidence in others, became Eastwood's trademark as a filmmaker. He rarely yelled on set, never indulged in drama, and preferred minimal takes, because, as he once said, the first reaction is the most honest one. But perhaps what makes his goodbye so emotional is that Clint Eastwood represents something that Hollywood has nearly forgotten: authenticity. In a time where most stars chase fame through social media and brand deals, Eastwood stood apart, never caring for trends or online popularity. He never needed to prove his worth because his work spoke for itself. His rugged face, gravelly voice, and piercing eyes became symbols of truth in a world full of pretense. And now that he's gone from the spotlight, many feel the industry will never be the same again. When Clint walks away, one veteran director said, "It's like the soul of Hollywood walks with him." Rumors have started to swirl about his final project. Some insiders whisper about an unpublished script he wrote years ago, a story about an aging man facing his final days alone in a changing world. Some believe it's a metaphor for his own life, a farewell told through film. Whether that project ever sees the light of day or not, the mystery only adds to the legend. Fans online have begun calling it the last ride, though no official confirmation exists. Even in silence, Clint Eastwood continues to inspire storytelling and speculation, showing how deeply his presence is woven into the fabric of cinema itself. At his home in Carmel, California, locals occasionally spot him at small cafes, greeting people with a nod or a quiet smile. There's no entourage, no bodyguards, just the man, his coffee, and the Pacific wind. Residents say he's often seen sketching ideas in a notebook, sometimes staring at the ocean for long stretches, as if replaying scenes from an unwritten film. "He's always observing," said one local artist. "Even when he's not making movies, he's still directing the world around him." That poetic observation feels true. Eastwood may have left Hollywood, but Hollywood will never leave him. His shadow stretches across every director who learned simplicity from his craft, every actor who found courage in silence, and every audience member who discovered that sometimes a whisper can hit harder than a scream. What's truly remarkable is how gracefully he's handled aging, without fear, without denial. "I don't believe in retiring from life," he said once in an interview. "You just stop pretending you can outrun it." Those words now resonate deeply with fans who grew up watching him outdraw every villain, every obstacle, every demon. For them, Clint walking away isn't an end, it's a lesson. That even legends know when to bow out. He's teaching the world that legacy isn't about staying forever. It's about leaving something behind that does. And he has. From dusty deserts to dark city alleys, from the lonely barrooms of Gran Torino to the moral storms of Mystic River, Eastwood gave audiences the courage to face their own flaws. He didn't just make movies, he made people think. Today, as fans revisit his classics, there's a strange mix of sadness and gratitude in the air. Online forums are flooded with comments like, "There will never be another like him, and he defined what it means to be real." Younger audiences, discovering his films for the first time, are surprised by how modern his old work feels, because truth never goes out of style. Even the new generation of filmmakers are openly admitting that they model their scripts on his philosophy: minimal words, maximum meaning. As one critic put it perfectly, Clint Eastwood didn't just direct films, he directed emotion. And maybe that's why his final departure hurts so much. Because for decades he wasn't just part of Hollywood, he was Hollywood. The symbol of strength, mystery, and moral courage. Now, without him, the industry feels quieter, emptier, as though the camera itself misses his presence. Yet in that silence lies his greatest message, that true greatness doesn't need applause, it endures on its own. And as the curtain falls on Clint Eastwood's extraordinary journey, the man who once told the world to make my day has done it again. One last time in the simplest, most powerful way possible, by walking away.